All right, we're going to take a look at day 69, chapter 10, lesson 8 on multiplication and scaling. We're actually going to use all materials that I created for this lesson because our students just need more in-depth conceptual practice than the My Math materials provide. So first I want to look at the two standards that this lesson is aligned to. So I'm going to open up our Math Standards Guide. This lesson is aligned to 5 NFB 5A and 5B. Go ahead and take 30 seconds to review these two standards. Right, so what our students need to be able to do is recognize when they multiply any number, either a fraction or a whole number, by a fraction greater than 1, the product is going to be greater than that original number. Also, if you multiply by 1, a fraction that's equal to 1, like 9/9 or 6/6, the product will be equal to that original number, and then finally multiplying by a number less than 1, like 3/4 or 15/16, will result in a product that's less than the original number. So the way that we're going to start this lesson is first by identifying which fractions are greater than 1, equal to 1, or less than 1. And so here you'll see that I have created a little table to sort into all of these fractions that are less than 1, equal to 1, or greater than 1. So that's like an opening exercise. This should take no longer than 30 seconds to do. I predict that students will make a mistake here with 8/7. I also predict that students will make a mistake here with 6/3, not recognizing that that's a whole number 2, and 2 is also greater than 1. So then, even though the language of the standard said we're doing this without performing the indicated multiplication, for these first couple of items or these first couple of examples, in order to build the conceptual understanding of what it is that we're doing, we're actually going to perform the multiplication. So here I'm going to show we're going to multiply 2 times 6/5, multiply it all the way through, and you get 2 and 2/5. Then you're doing the same thing with 1.5 times 2, we're getting 3, and then 2 times 1 3/4, getting 3 2/4 or 3.5. We're plotting these on a number line. You can then draw a dotted line through 2, and then we're having students answer these questions. What do you notice about these fractions? What we want students to recognize is that all of these fractions are greater than 1 whole. What do we know about each of the products? We notice that each of the products is greater than 2. So now the big idea is that multiplying by a fraction that's greater than 1 is going to result in a product that is greater than the original number. The original number here being 2. Then we do the same thing with fractions that are equal to 1. So at this point, students should be getting the idea that 4/4 is equal to 1, this is equal to 2. 2/2 is equal to 1. When I multiply 2/2 by 2, I get 2. We're plotting all of these again, and we should see that all of our points land right here, right at 2. What do you notice about 4/4, 2/2, and 9/9? Each is equal to 1 whole. What do you notice about each of the products? Each is equal to 2. So here, when we multiply by a number that's equal to 1, the product will be equal to the original number. Finally, we're doing this with fractions that are less than 1. So same thing, multiply through. We want to draw a dotted line right through the 2, and we notice that each one of our products is less than 2. What do you notice about 1/4, 1/2, and 5/8? They're all less than 1 whole. What do you notice about each of the products? They're less than 2. I do not think that these three, like part A, part B, part C, should take more than 8 minutes. If it's taking more than 8 minutes, you need to take more leadership and show right away how we're doing these multiplications. We can't be waiting for students because that isn't the main work of the lesson. It's not multiplying 2 times 5/8. That should be a prerequisite skill that they know at this point. The main work of the lesson is understanding this key concept. And then from there, the rest of the practice, examples 2 and 3, looks very similar to the practice that we see, or the items that we see on PARCC and on ANET. Here what we want students to do is identify that 96 times 2/3 is less than 96 because 2/3 is less than 1 whole. So what they should be writing in these blanks here is less than 1 whole, is greater than 1 whole, or is equal to 1 whole. So you see in example 2, we're multiplying a whole number by a fraction, a whole number by a fraction. We do not want students multiplying. We should stress that like we only did it for example 1. For the rest of the day, we're not going to be multiplying. And then in example 3, we're now switching it so that the original number is no longer a whole number, but we have a fraction. 3/5 times 1/5. 1/5 is less than 1 whole, so I know that 3/5 times 1/5 is going to be less than 3/5. So again, similar to the very first launch that we started, we're going to be bucketing these into less than 3/5, equal to 3/5, or greater than 3/5. The rest of the practice for today matches exactly those 3 examples. So again, like what our practice looks like is that we're multiplying a whole number by a fraction. We're using the symbols less than, greater than, or equal to, and then I included these so that we're stressing this point about the why, like explaining the why. And then we're going to continue this lesson with tomorrow with more complicated items, but this should give us a really good start.